important is video marketing
Mhm.
in today's advertising, branding, and marketplace?
Yeah, it's extremely important. Probably one of the top things that if you're going to invest a little bit of money in marketing, you should invest it in video. I say this all the time to clients. People do not read, no matter how great of a writer you are. People are not reading it, and so unfortunately or fortunately, people consume information visually. And so you could have a 3-minute video versus literally a paragraph, and people will look at that video before they read that paragraph. So it's really about the content. And so if you focus on having really great content, you focus on helping other people, getting great messages across. But video is so important and it's a great way to get your message across to people. If you're doing something like let's say a company overview video or something like that, 2 minutes would probably be the max, I'd say. People have short attention spans, unfortunately. And so it would be better for you to do a series of short videos instead of one long video. Yeah, the shorter the better. It also forces you as a content creator to get your message tight. Don't be so wordy, really find out what's the most important thing you want to get across to people.
Hey, everybody, it's your girl Michelle. And guess what? I am here on the Real Talk with Michelle, and I have a fabulous guest in the house today, Miss Amie Thompson. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Amie and let her introduce herself to our listening and viewing audience.
Sure. Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Amie Thompson. I am the CEO of Creative Allies. We are a digital marketing firm and we're in Raleigh, North Carolina. We offer full service marketing and we really focus on other entrepreneurs, other small business owners. And our goal is really to help them focus on growing their business and then letting us handle the marketing. And we do everything from websites, social media, video, copywriting, anything you can think of, we're able to do so that the CEOs, the founders can really focus on what they specialize in, and that's growing their business.
As a small business owner myself,
Hmm.
sometimes we do not understand this very important concept
Hmm.
that before you can actually brand and market your business, you need to brand and market yourself.
That's
How
right.
important is that out in the marketplace?
It is so important. One of the things that, I've been running Creative Allies for 3 years. So it's been long and short at the same time. And one of the things that I had to understand in a not so easy way is that when people buy, they're buying from me, right? They want to know about the company. They want to know who we've worked with. But really what's most important for a small business, they want to know who I am. They want to know that I'm trustworthy. They want to know that if something goes wrong, I'm going to step in. So, personal branding is really one of the most important things you can do as a CEO. And that's a matter of making sure that you understand your value, you understand what it is that you bring to the clients, but also you have to be comfortable with being the face of the business. And that was a challenge for me. You've got to be able to put yourself out there because, again, people are not looking to do business with just a website, right? Or just a logo. They're looking to do business with a person that they can be comfortable with and that they can trust. You could have the best team in the world, but you've got to be out front. You've got to be selling your business and you have to develop your personal brand.
I'm glad that you said that because one of the things that seems to have been my mantra for the past year is that people buy you.
That's right.
They consume your products.
Yep.
And people need to understand that. And it was a lesson that I too have had to learn in my own business,
Mhm.
because I can stand behind somebody else and allow somebody else to be the face of the
Mhm.
business. But the minute that something goes wrong,
That's right.
they're not looking at the face of the business, they're looking at the owner of the
That's right.
business. And so that's so hugely important. So
Yeah.
I want to ask this question because I've got a very good friend of mine that's into video marketing.
Okay.
How important is video marketing
Mhm.
in today's advertising, branding, and marketplace?
Yeah, it's extremely important. Probably one of the top things that if you're going to invest a little bit of money in marketing, you should invest it in video. And a couple of things I'll say about that. One is I say this all the time to clients, people do not read. No matter how great of a writer you are, people are not reading it. And so, unfortunately or fortunately, people consume information visually. And so you could have a 3-minute video versus literally a paragraph, and people will look at that video before they read that paragraph. And so you have to just come to grips with the fact that you've got to do video marketing. The positive thing is, especially on social media, my personal belief is you don't have to focus 100% on having highly produced, high, quality equipment and all of that stuff. It's really about the content. And so if you focus on having really great content, you focus on helping other people, getting great messages across, you can get away with not terrible quality, obviously, but you can get away with good instead of great. Sometimes people are intimidated. They think they have to spend a ton of money on a camera and lighting and things like that. You can use your computer, use your webcam. You can be right in your living room, especially during this pandemic. People do not expect you to be in a fancy studio. They understand you might be in your kitchen, you might be in whatever. But video is so important and it's a great way to get your message across to people.
I'm
Keep
glad
it
that
short
we,
though. I will say that. Keep it short.
well, yeah, how short should it be?
I think that if you're doing something like let's say a company overview video or something like that, 2 minutes would probably be the max, I'd say. People have short attention spans, unfortunately. And so it would be better for you to do a series of short videos instead of one long video.
Okay.
Regardless of how interesting your topic is, it's just who we are right now. People have short attention spans. And so they would rather start and stop something that's like 30, 45 seconds and watch 5 of them versus watching something that's 5 minutes. It's the craziest thing. But yeah, the shorter the better. It also forces you as a content creator to get your message tight. Don't be so wordy. Really find out what's the most important thing you want to get across to people.
So let's say, I'm a small business owner,
Mhm.
and even in the show that I do, how important is it for me to have, or should I hire a social media manager?
Yeah. Social media is tricky, right? Because again, most small business owners, if they're not running the business themselves, they only have one or two other people. And so you can't do everything all day, right? And so a couple of things we usually recommend to clients. Number one, don't feel like you have to be on every single channel. The key when you're just starting out is find out where your people are. So for example, if you have a young audience. Maybe they're high school, they're college. Don't go on Facebook all the time because that's not where they are. So really think about who's your audience, where do they consume information, and start there. And it's okay if you only start with one channel and then just make that great. Then when you get traction, you get more customers, you get more money, then pay someone to handle social for you and do other channels. But I think the biggest mistake we see our clients make is trying to be everywhere. And then what happens is you lose consistency. You're not putting out great content. You're just trying to be everywhere. And that's usually not the right way to go. So definitely be focused. And I don't know if you have, $100. I don't know that that's where I'd spend the money hiring somebody to help with social. Focus on your messaging, focus on your content, do some videos, things like that. Build your community, build your audience, get clients. And then once you start making that money, then spend it on things like social.
Okay, very, very wise advice. So, how did you get started with your digital marketing company?
Yeah. It was a bit by accident. I've spent my career in sales and marketing, operations, and leadership, but I always worked for someone else. So I was in corporate America most of my career. I always did things on the side. So I had little side hustles here and there. I invested in companies, but never full time. So I always had a full time job, great benefits, great money, all that stuff. And then around 2017, I just got a little bit burned out and decided I wanted to just take time off, figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I had budgeted for 3, 4 months of just doing whatever I felt like doing. And that turned into 6 and turned into 9 and turned into a year of not working. And I just loved it and decided I don't ever want to go back to corporate America. And myself and 2 other folks, we invested in Creative Allies. We came across Creative Allies as a company. They were looking for new investment. So we were thinking of being just kind of silent partners, hopefully make a little money. But then over time, the original founders, they moved on. They wanted to do something different. And so then we slowly started to spend more and more time with the business. And then I took over in 2018. And so my background is not digital marketing per se, it is marketing and sales. But certainly my background was not full-time CEO, was not full-time running a marketing company. But in that time, that year that I took off, I learned so much about myself, and I learned that I was much more creative than I'd ever had the opportunity to do in a corporate job. So I really enjoyed it. And the biggest thing is that I like helping people. And that's really what we do is we help people grow their business. We help people brand. We help people create great design. We help people create websites. So it allowed me to do something that I enjoy personally, but also, try to make some money too.
Well, I'm all for making money. Trust me. The whole reason why I went into my business was
Yeah,
to make money, to make my money, and
right.
not somebody
Someone
else's money.
else's. That's right. That's right.
Because there's a difference when you make your money
That's right.
than when you're
Absolutely.
making somebody else's money. So when you say that you do digital marketing,
Hmm.
so let's say that I have an in a business where I detail cars.
Okay.
How would I utilize your company to help with my branding and marketing?
Yeah. So the first thing that I normally do with clients is just have a conversation, right? Just talk to the business owner about some of the goals, about how they're currently doing things, and who the audience is. Who are the customers that you have, or who are the customers that you're trying to attract? Then that'll help us understand where people go. So, for example, you detail cars. Do people go to Google first to find a detailer? Do they go by word of mouth because they ask people for referrals? Where do they find your business or businesses like yours? And then we help you kind of amplify your brand in that way. We always take a look at your digital presence. So if I do a Google search of your brand, what comes up? Is it personal stuff on Instagram, or is it your business website? Like, what's the first impression that I get? And that'll also help me give some recommendations. A lot of people question whether they need a website, for example. Like, well, I have social media. I put all my stuff on Facebook. But the reality is a website is necessary. And I could talk about that for days, but a website is necessary for people who are serious about running a business. If you want people to know that you're there, you're real, you should have a website. Even if it's basic and simple, you should have that. So we go online and search for you. Have you had any press? Like, what are the things that people find? We call it a digital footprint. What's your footprint look like online? And then when we do that, when we kind of assess that, then we can help you make some recommendations. So your current digital footprint paired with the goals that you have for the business and who you're trying to reach, then we can make some recommendations on where you should spend your money. Should you put it into social? Should you put it into ads? Do you need to revamp your logo and your overall branding? We'll help you with those. We'll make recommendations to you on what you should do.
Wow. I was sitting here thinking, and I almost picked up my phone to go and check what my digital footprint was. I said, no, I ain't going to do that, because then I'll take away from what I'm supposed to be
I
doing.
tell you, it's so important because you need to know what's out there, right? If you run a business and I Google you and see something bad about you, I'm not going to call you and tell you it's there, right? So you need to look for that yourself so you know what's being said about you, what's being said about your brand, if there's anything out there about you. You need to know what other people see about your company before they even call you. You know, so much, everyone probably knows this, so much is done on the internet before someone contacts you. And so what are they learning? What are they hearing? What are they finding? And so, yeah, that digital footprint is very, very important.
Okay, so when you're talking about, I just had a thought that hit me while
Hmm.
you were talking. Right now, we're in this cancel culture,
Hmm.
where if you say one bad thing, one wrong thing,
Yeah.
cut off. People
Yeah.
just dismiss you immediately. No explanation needed, no nothing.
Yeah.
How does that play into let's say you've got an executive that has had a worker that has some bad press,
Hmm.
and we already are dealing with our cancel culture
Yeah.
within our society. How do you recover from that?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. So one is trying to counter it with positive, right? So whether you're an individual or you're thinking about your company's reputation, how do you get people who do like what you've done to speak up on your behalf? So that testimonial, that third party validation. Because the hope is if you have one, let's say one piece of bad press and you're a small business, that could be pretty detrimental. But it can also be countered with the 10, 15, 20, 30 Google reviews that you have that are positive, or the testimonials that you have on your website. So I would encourage people to not wait until that point where they have something bad happen, to be proactive about going back to the clients you've worked with that have been happy with your work and with your product, and get them to give you a testimonial. And that way, if somebody's going online and they see something really bad, but then they see 10 things that are good, they're probably going to maybe not ignore the bad one, but they'll understand that, hey, that's just business. There's going to be a little bit of good and bad. The cancel culture thing is it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And the other part is it doesn't go away. So if somebody writes something bad about you, it's online forever. I mean, you can take it off some places, but it's going to show up somewhere else. So it's something that you have to, in my opinion, be proactive about it, not wait until that happens, but really try to build up your reputation so that one bad thing isn't going to basically knock you down or knock you out.
I like that concept that you would do some positive things to counteract the
Yeah.
negative that
Yeah.
has already transpired. Because let's face it, as the adage goes, you cannot please all of the people
That's right.
all of the time, but you
Right.
can please some of the people some of the time.
That's right.
There's always going to be somebody who is not going to like you for whatever reason,
Yeah.
or they're not going to like the services that you provide for whatever reason.
Right.
That's just a part of humanity. That's
Yeah.
just how things work. So being able to understand that concept and not waiting for the negative to happen, but to
Right.
be proactive. I was talking to somebody not too long ago, and I told him, I said, when I was younger, we make mistakes because we think we know everything. And
Right.
I was really young, dumb, and stupid. But I hope that the positive that I've done in my life since then outweighs the
Hmm.
negative that I may have done back then when I
That's right.
didn't know better.
That's right.
And so we always want that because it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show. People buy you,
That's
they
right.
consume your product.
That's right.
And I think that is so important for people to begin to understand. So I want to switch gears just a little bit, Amie.
Hmm.
I want to know, who is the woman in the mirror, behind the CEO, behind the face of the company?
Hmm.
Who is Amie Thompson?
Yeah. Interesting question. So I don't certainly like to talk about myself all the time. I am very much into work, very much into being a workaholic. So I kind of focus more on my company and the things that I do there. But personally, I have spent most of my life in North Carolina. I've lived several other places, but I would say North Carolina is home. I mentioned to you before that I previously worked more in corporate America and had the luxury of having a great job with a lot of excess cash. So I love to travel, pre-pandemic, of course, but I really enjoy visiting other places. I played racquetball pre-pandemic, so I was in better shape then. So I enjoy. I'm a very, very competitive person. Come from a sports family, and so I really enjoy winning a lot. So regardless if it's a board game, if it's cards or whatever, I really enjoy competition. Big basketball fan. I'm a Carolina graduate, so also a Carolina basketball fan. And yeah, I love music also. I'm a big music fan, so going to concerts is something that I hope I will get back to one day. That was always a passion of mine, live music. The pandemic has, ruined a couple things that I enjoy doing, but definitely hope to get back to traveling and live music at some point. Yeah,
So if now that we're in the midst of this pandemic,
yeah,
and life for us has forever changed, people is for whatever reason people thinking that we're done with this pandemic, and we're nowhere near
right.
done with this pandemic because it is really instituting a new way of life.
Yeah, yeah,
People just need to understand that in and of
yeah,
itself and keep it moving.
yeah,
So, understanding we're in the midst of this pandemic, what do you like to do to decompress?
yeah. I would say I watch a lot of movies. So that's one thing I've found. I used to really enjoy going to the movies. That was another thing that I really enjoyed doing. Have not done that in a while, but I enjoy watching, whether it's Netflix or something, but watching movies. So that's a way to wind down a little bit. Walking is something else on days where it's comfortable outside, just taking a walk in the park or something like that. And no music sometimes, just like a little bit of nature. That's a nice way to decompress and kind of clear my head a little bit. I love going to the beach. That's probably one of the things that didn't change significantly. So I went a couple of times last year because it's something you can do just maybe with like one other person. You don't have to be with a crowd of people. You're outside, so it was still comfortable, and safe. But I absolutely love being at the beach. So probably between last year and 2021, maybe four times went to different beaches. So I probably don't ever want to give up, no matter what the situation is. But I love being by the ocean. It's probably my favorite thing to do to relax and kind of de-stress a little bit.
That's nice. Um, yeah, I think the last time, let's see, last time I went to the beach. Oh, the last time I went to the beach was in January, I think of 2017.
Oh wow. Okay.
I had gone to Naples, Florida.
Okay.
My brother's girlfriend had a house there.
Okay.
And so I went up there to spend New Year's.
Good.
So the weekend between Christmas and New Year's, I
Mhm.
was in Naples.
Nice.
And we went to the beach, and I don't swim. I just
Mhm.
like
Yeah, I
being
don't get in the water
out. I might put my feet in the water,
either.
but that's about the size of it because I
Yeah.
don't want a big wave to come in and I have no way to save myself. So, but I think that was the last time that I was actually at the
Mm.
beach. But I had a book, I
Right.
had
It's
my
just so
music,
relaxing. Yeah.
I had my sunglasses on, and he was
Yeah.
like, "How you gonna come to the beach and read a book?" I was like, "I'm gonna come to the beach and do whatever I want to do.
Yeah, I'm
It's
like that too.
my time."
I'm not getting in the ocean. I'm not doing a lot of activity, but listening to music, reading a good book, just relaxing basically is like the
It's just
perfect
something
vacation.
about hearing
Yeah.
the movement of the water.
Yeah.
To me, that's so relaxing.
It is. It is. Yeah.
And then the book allows me to get into a whole nother realm of being. I don't have to be in my environment
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And the music is softly playing. So I've got a whole ambiance going on that I'm just in seventh heaven. So I'm with you there. I'm
Mhm.
100% with you. Makes me want to think, okay, am I going to be able to sneak that in? Think about being able to sneak that in.
Yeah.
So, as you are a woman in business,
Mhm.
you are an owner of a business, you're the CEO, you are running this business on a day to day basis,
Mhm.
and you're dealing with the employees that work up under you. As a woman of a black woman, I was going to say a woman of color, but you are not a woman of color, you are a black woman. So, as a black woman in business, how how do you navigate that atmosphere and that
Mhm.
place with the culture in which we live in?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things. One is one of the things that I've been very surprised in is just how connected other business leaders and other business owners are and how helpful people are. So, seeing other Black women business owners and networking with them, I was a little bit honestly surprised at just how open people are and have generally been to help me when I was first starting out and to help me network and meet other business owners and things like that. So that part I was pleasantly surprised. I think the navigating piece, I mean, there always are challenges, but it's actually to me a lot better than being in corporate America because I have much more control over my own success. I'm not really relying on someone else to make sure I get promoted or make sure this happens or whatever. I am really almost 100% in control of where I take this company and how big we can get, who I hire, who's on my team. So there's a real positivity to that that I don't think you get sometimes or most of the time when you're working for someone else and you're kind of at their mercy of what's good, what's not good, et cetera. So I found that the navigation is been much easier and a lot more enjoyable in running a business. And I have found that it's taken probably almost until the last 3 to 4 months of really, we got certified as a minority business about 2 years ago. And there are quite a lot of support systems in place for minority business owners. But it takes a minute to meet the right people, to know who to reach out to get grant money, to get opportunities, things like that. It's like a club in and of itself, almost. And so I'm finally feeling like I'm in the right circles, I'm in the right space, and things like that. So the navigation has been a journey for sure, but I find it um, much better to deal with than when I was in corporate America.
I'm interested in how you phrase that because I don't think a lot of our individuals that have small businesses that look like us
Hmm.
are see the importance of being an MBE, a WBE, or a VBE.
Yeah.
How important is that to a small business?
Yeah, it really is. I didn't see it either. And I had someone that was in my network who just was like, you have to do it. First of all, it was a lot of paperwork and then it costs money. And so it's like, oh my goodness. But there are there are two parts to it. One is the networking with other MBEs. And I really underestimated that. People who will seek you out through different databases because they want to work with a female run business or a black owned business. And then people that you might need service providers as well that you can find in that network. But there are also opportunities where corporations who are looking for diverse suppliers, they have this like ready set, marketplace to come and look for you. So there are a lot of benefits to it. It is time consuming, but it's definitely worth it. I've also I did a graduate program almost last year that was free of charge because it was sponsored through different corporate partners for MBE certified companies. Like there are just a lot of benefits if you take the time to research and take advantage. And that was the biggest thing that after about a year and a half, I'm like, wow, I just have not, taken advantage of what's there. And I think, like you said, people don't always know the benefits of it. So it's very easy to overlook and just like, I'm not taking time to do that. But it is definitely worth it, in my opinion, to get yourself out there. We don't really do a lot of work with government. That's one aspect of it. We're usually dealing with private companies. But for people who offer products and services on a government side, that's also extremely helpful for them to be certified.
So are you certified state, North Carolina, or are you certified state and federal government?
Both. So we're hub certified, and then we have the national certification as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So we're both. So we got the hub certification wasn't until um, that one came later. So we've had the national certification for like 2.5 years, I think, and the hub certification for maybe 6 or 7 months.
Okay.
And so, yeah, when you're dealing with RFPs, it's just another thing. It's almost like you mentioned, you're a project manager. Are you PMP certified or not? Right. And so it's like you're still the same person, whether you're certified or not. But there's something about having that PMP behind your name where people are looking at a resume or people are looking at a LinkedIn. They're like, there's something extra that people tap into you for whatever reason, because you have that certification. So it's similar to that. Just having those things can really help you set yourself apart.
That is important. I think with a lot of our small business owners, especially the ones that I've had the privilege of working with in the past, they have not always seen the value of the networking.
Yeah,
Because I have learned, if I haven't learned anything else, it's not always about what you know, but it is about who you know.
that's right. Yeah,
Because the right person can make the right connection for you, and that
yeah,
connection will make the rest of your business life like butter, just
that's
smooth,
right. Yeah,
easy flowing, and you don't have to go through the struggle. A lot of
that's
business
right.
owners struggle, but when you make those right connections, you don't have to struggle. You
Yeah,
just kind of you it's not like you're even floating. It's just you're following the path
yeah,
of the journey that you're supposed to be on, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So
yeah.
if you had three top things
Hmm.
that you wanted to share with a business owner, what would those top three things be?
The first thing that I would share is know yourself. That would be a piece of advice I would give. It sounds like very simple, but I don't think people spend enough time really thinking through where they're strong, where they're not strong, and what they should be focused on. And that comes back to what we talked about with personal branding a little bit. Really understand what your value is and what you have to offer people. Because, again, like you said, people do business with the people that they can reach and touch, the people that they like and they can get to know. So, definitely know yourself, know who you are, know your value, and be able to communicate that. That would be one piece of advice. The second piece of advice, would be around the digital footprint, like we were talking about. You have to know what other people are going to see about you. You need to know what your reputation is, not just what people say to your face, but what is out there about you online. It does not take a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort to do that. So, really just take some time and do research on yourself, which sounds crazy, but do research on yourself and see what other people would see if they were searching for you or for your business. And then the third thing I would offer is probably focus. That's one of the things that I struggled with early on in running the business, is trying to do too much of everything. And lately, in last year and in going into this year, it's really about focusing. Focus on what works. You have Most of us have some kind of success, even if it's only one or two things. But what are those one or two things? And then keep doing them. Why are we wasting time doing something that doesn't work? Find the things that work for you in your business and then double down on them, keep doing them. So try to focus on whether it's one or two services, one or two products, whatever that might be. But focus, I think, is certainly my goal for this year. And I would recommend that to others.
Wow. So know yourself.
Yep.
And when you said that, uh, I'm a church girl, so a scripture came into mind
Mm.
where it tells you to know thyself.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, And then not only knowing yourself, but know what other people are saying in
Hmm.
regards to you and your business.
Yep.
And then the third thing was focus.
Yes.
Be
Hmm.
sure to focus on the things that you can do well
That's right.
and decide where you're going to be a shmee at.
Yep.
Know that area and know it well instead of spreading yourself out
Right.
thin over a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
advice. Good
Yeah.
advice. So, this is the time of the show where I give you the opportunity to share whatever you want to share with the listening and viewing audience.
Okay.
So, take it away, Amie.
Sure. I mean, I think the biggest thing in having conversations with small business owners is how important marketing is. I mean, I'm this is what I do, so what I love to talk about, but a lot of times if it's not your strong suit, then you might just shy away from it. You might think you don't need it. You might think you won't do it. But I would love the opportunity if any of your listeners are interested. I always have short, 15, 20-minute phone calls with people just talking about their business. It's very easy for me to give one or two pieces of advice that people can just do immediately to help their business or help their marketing. So, what I would offer to your audience and to your listeners is just reach out to me. Our website is creativeallies.com. You can go to the contact page and set up time on my calendar and just let's talk. It's one of the cool things about me and running a business. It's not always about a sale. It's really about meeting people, like you said, the networking. I might have a conversation with someone, maybe they can't afford something I offer, but they might know somebody that needs something. And so it's about meeting people. If I help one person, they might think, well, let me recommend Amie the next time somebody says they need a website or what have you. So I love talking to people about their businesses and seeing where I can help. So that's what I would offer to your audience is just head over to creativeallies.com. If you go to the contact page, you can book an appointment with me and we can just talk about your business, a little bit about your marketing needs, and I can offer any guidance that I can think of.
Okay. So, what is one final thought that just came to mind?
Hmm.
If I was to talk to anybody who has worked with you in the past,
Hmm.
what is one thing that you know that they would say about you?
Sure. One thing that I pride myself on that I feel confident that people would say is that I'm very honest. And so when I work with clients, again, it's for me, I love money, but it's not the first thing that's on my mind. So I'm going to tell you when I don't think you should be doing something that you might be doing. I'm going to be honest with you about whether I think something will work or not for your business. But I think that my clients feel comfortable that if I give them a piece of advice, it's not because I'm trying to sell them something. It's not because I'm trying to get them to buy one of our services. It's really because I have their best interests at heart and I just want them to be successful and to grow their business. And so I try my best to always be very honest with my clients. And I think that would be one of the things I'd say.
Okay. Amy, it has definitely been a pleasure
Yes, thank you for
having
having
you
me.
on the show today. Once again, if people want to reach you, they can reach you by contacting you off of your contact page on
Hmm.
your website. So why don't you give
Hmm.
us your website one more time?
Sure. It's creativeallies.com/contact. And there's just a quick form you can fill out to book an appointment with me.
Okay. So, what is up next for Amy and Creative Allies?
Yeah. We have pretty aggressive goals for this year. We've done a great job last year. We doubled our revenue, looking to do that again this year. We want to take on more and bigger clients. So I mentioned to you about focus. We're focused on a few different types of clients and services, but we want to work with I wouldn't say big companies, but we are looking to work with maybe folks that have, 5 or 6 employees. They have a bit more revenue than what we previously done, and so we can get more exposure for the brand. So I'm really excited about this year. We've added, I think I mentioned to you, one new person to the team this week, and then I'll be looking to hire probably by the summer one more person. So we're continuing to grow, which is really exciting during a pandemic like this. We're finding success in our lane which is really great. So I'm very optimistic about this year, very excited about this year.
Well, once again, it has been my pleasure to talk with you and to learn about both you and the company.
Mhm.
So, everybody, this is your girl, Michelle, with our guest today, Miss Amie Thompson with Creative Allies. So, be sure to tune in again next week for another great show. And check out Amie and Creative Allies. See if there's something that she has to offer you as a small business, even if you're not even knowing what you need or what
Mhm.
you want. Have that conversation. You never
Right.
know. It may be the conversation that changes your life. So we'll talk to you later. Have a great one. Bye bye.